Teshtile to all of you. My name is Tsering Lodje and I'm a Tibetan performing artist. I recently moved to Bozeman, Montana, and today I'm so happy to be here in Feather Pipe Range, Helena, and I'm very happy to introduce Kamala. And I met Kamala and the Tibetan Children's Education Foundation in 2013, and they have given me an opportunity to perform in one of their fundraising rala. And then I was glad that I was able to perform a solo artist during that time and receive so many audience. So I really thank Tibetan Children's Education Foundation for giving me this opportunity. Now after so many years, I'm back in Montana and I would like to know more about Tibetan Children's Education Foundation.
Absolutely.
So Kamala, can you please introduce me to your members?
Okay, Chiludula, thank you so much for your kind introduction. Our memories are a little bit different. I think we met earlier. You said 2013. I remember we met probably in 2010. In Montana, we have these wonderful folk festivals.
Right.
And at one time, George Everett, the director, he invited the Chaksampa group out of California for a performance in Butte, Montana. Can you believe it? I live in Butte, Montana, single Tibetan family. And then to have this group come there. And so, remember, you came with the Chaksampa group.
That's correct.
And when you came, I mean, all of them were fabulous artists, but, Ludu caught my attention because he had that, all of them are, terrific dancers, but he had that magnetism on stage. You can see that he literally has this raw energy on that stage. And I, working for the Tibetan Children's Foundation, we were always looking for Tibetan cultural ambassadors to promote our culture. And so that's when I thought, here I have a winner. And that's when I contacted you. And then you're right, we did our first single event in Helena, Montana. We had that fantastic concert.
Correct.
And I've always felt it a privilege to work with someone as talented as yourself.
Thank you.
And today, sitting with me on this beautiful lawn of the Feathered Pipe here in Montana, taking part in this Tibetan conversation in Montana, I have Vijay Supra. She's been one of the founders. She's been with the foundation from the very beginning. Her sister, India Supra, is my personal mentor, the person who brought me into the non-profit world. And so India is no more. I still regret that we didn't get a recording of her when she was alive. Today I'm so privileged to have Auntie Vijay Supra here with me. She's currently the president of our foundation. And then another person I have today is Pastor Dave Anderson. Dave has been with us again for over 10 years, maybe even 15. But I remember like our first association with Dave is because he was so palpably kind to the Tibetans. We would do these small dinner events and we were always looking for venues. And he had the wonderful church. What was the name of the church, Dave?
That was Covenant.
The Covenant, that's right. It was the Covenant Methodist Church, and we would always have these venues because Dave was there. And later somehow we convinced Dave to join and be a member of the board of directors for Tcef. So today on a panel, aside from Tsering Lodje who brought us all together, I wanted to say that we have Vijay and I wanted to say we have Dave Anderson. I wanted to bring them together so that we have an Inji voice to talk to us. And, everything is going to be very informal, but I wanted to ask both Dave and Vijay some core Tibetan questions. So, Auntie Vijay, I'm going to start off with you. And so my first basic question is very simple. How did you get involved with the Tibetans? When did this miracle happen?
My first trip to Kathmandu in '69, we met Tibetans there. They are just they were very, very poor then. They were living around the Bodnat Stupa, and they were selling little trinkets. It wasn't built up then. It was very, very quiet. And we just met the Tibetans then, and we go, oh my God, these people are amazing. And I think for Ingis, we're just naturally attracted to Tibetans because they're so shanti.
Right.
So we're just attracted to them. We love their culture. We love their religion. I don't think there's nothing we don't like about them. We love their food. We love everything. Maybe not the salt tea, but but we do love everything about them. We're so fortunate to have them in our lives.
Okay, Dave, so the same question to you also. When did you first come into contact with us Tibetan?
I actually had some experience with Tibetan groups in traveling in the United States prior to meeting you and the people of the Tibetan Children's Education Foundation. So when I think it was Valerie Hellerman who came and asked if we could have a dinner, a fundraising dinner at Covenant Church, I just perked right up when she told me who it was for. And of course, it only took a few minutes with you and your family, and of course, I knew India and Vijay from prior encounters, and it was just one of those magical evenings that was meant to happen, and we forged a bond and continued to work together for a long time.
Okay, so I think Auntie Vijay, you kind of answered the second question, but Dave, let me start with you this time round. Like, so I know you have been helping the Tibetan Children's Foundation over all these years. I guess I'm asking this for people who have never been in touch with Tibetans, who don't know us. So what is a good reason to support the Tibetans? What is a good reason to support the Tibetan cause?
I think as a Christian pastor, one of the first things I noticed about Tibetans and Tibetan culture was the similarity between Tibetans in exile, and the experience of many Christians, especially in the early days of Christianity, when people learned to live together with unity and peace, and to present that position to the world in a rather clear way. Christianity kind of deteriorated, I think, in some ways from then on, but I thought that the Dalai Lama and Tibetan culture, just by virtue of its own experience, has a mission to the world. And that mission is a mission of peace and a mission of understanding individual consciousness in a kind of detailed way that, while it predates science, is certainly not antithetical to science. And the Dalai Lama has made that very clear, that a Tibetan examination of the self and how it functions in the world, what morality is and how it functions best, what compassion is, what mindfulness is, all of the things that have kind of taken American and Western culture by storm. Tibet has 1,000 years of experience with that stuff. It's not new. And I think that's one of the main reasons we need to support the preservation of Tibetan culture, as well as helping Tibetan people in exile continue to thrive.
It might sound redundant to us because we are Tibetan activists and, we've been doing this work for a long time. But let's hypothetically imagine that this is being seen by somebody for whom Tibet is a totally new experience. But somehow they feel this empathy for the Tibetans and they want to do something. Dave, what would you say is the one thing that people can most effectively help the Tibetans?
My experience in the subcontinent, in India and Nepal and the Tibetan regions of North India, it's really clear to me the one thing that helps, and that's education. If somehow you, as a citizen of the world, can help a young person get the kind of education that helps them not only survive in this technological world, but to thrive in it. You've done something critical to helping preserve Tibetan culture. And so my wife and I have sponsored children through the Kitseling Children's Education Fund for younger children, helped out with college students, and through my own travels in the area, tried to stay in touch with the issues, especially revolving around education. That to me is the main thing. I mean, there's lots of ways to help, but education to me is the most important.
And Auntie Vijay, I think even in your first answer, you said you loved everything about Tibetan except from a butter tea.
Yes.
And I know we are, good friends for over 40 years, so that's one reason to support us. But aside from that, can you give a soundbite and say why support the Tibetans?
Well, like Dave said, they're very kind and compassionate. And for Injis, I think we learn a lot from them. We really need them in our lives. They keep us very peaceful, and we love His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He's so compassionate. We learn from him all the time. And so I love the religion. I love how it's so opened. I love just everything about the Tibetan people. I can't think of anything else to say. It's just I love to help them as much as we can because they're such kind people and they reciprocate so kindly just by us knowing them.
Okay, and then Ludu, I want to thank you again really for bringing us together. This is again an opportunity for me also to say a little bit about the foundation. I know that you wanted to know a little bit about the foundation. What were some of the questions you had?
I was wondering to ask this question since we met, but
Yes.
so many, in between. So there are so many other foundations that help, to the Tibetan children, for their educations. But when I met you, I thought there's also a Tibetan who wants to start this kind of foundation and help. So that was something very not new, but there's very few people who thought like this thing, and then they start working on how to help own people. So that was something really came in my mind. So I really want to know, the Tibetan Children's Education Foundation. I want to know, when you guys started. And I just want to know a background or the history that how you started actually.
The Tibetan Children's Foundation, it started 25 years ago. So this year, Thiludu, we are celebrating our 25th anniversary.
Silver Jubilee.
Silver Jubilee. Isn't that amazing? And it happened, due to good karma, really. Like Vijay first came to Clementown in 1975. So she's the person who discovered the Tibetans in Clementown. Then her sister India came, who was instrumental in founding. She came in 1981. We met, and she was just amazingly kind. I don't have the time in this video to describe it, but she gave me all the opportunities to work and come into the country. Even before I came there, the foundation was always there because the foundation started in 95. I started working 18 years ago. Still, that's a long time, right? But India and these kind folks in Montana, they are the one who actually came to places where Tibetans lived, felt an empathy, and then the difference is when they went back, they decided to do something about it. And so they made this non-profit. I have had the immense good fortune to be associated with them, to be a part of this entire work. So that's how it started, basically.
Wow. And which year actually was started?
1995.
Over here in Helena?
Yep, over here in Helena.
Okay. And so thank you, Vijay and David. And then the second question is what is the motive behind the foundation?
When the foundation started, we just, everyone in the group, it was really informal. As Auntie Vijay said, the people in Montana, they just love Tibetans, their culture, their smiling faces. They just wanted to do whatever they can for the Tibetans. So that's the motivation, is to do something for the Tibetans. over the years, we have evolved in three main program areas. The first one is to work for our culture. That's why I had contact with you, because sand mandalas, performing artists, we try to raise awareness of Tibetan art and culture. So that's one work. Number two, and it's our core, is education. As both Dave and Vijay said, how we can transform lives of Tibetan refugee children is through education. And I can say that with conviction because I myself, I told you, my life was blessed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I came to India as a penniless kid, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama blessed my life. I went to school through a sponsored program. That's how, my life was blessed. So that's what we do. And then the third part of our program is we also have a service component where we try to help destitute Tibetan elders. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that the Tibetan government in exile, everyone has empathy. They do a lot of work for Tibetan elders. I'm not saying that, there's no one to help them. But wherever there's an opportunity, we also run a parallel sponsorship program. And over the years, we have helped hundreds of Tibetan elders find some comfort, some dignity. So those are three crucial areas like culture, education, service.
Till now, right?
Uh-huh.
So, what the foundation have done so far towards the children's education,
Right.
So I just want to know a little bit more about.
Yes, absolutely. Number one is we run the sponsorship program. Like we said, through the sponsorship program, I think we have crossed well over 500 kids. So that's the amount of lives we have impacted. We have helped to build education infrastructure. We built a hostel in Clementown called Kitseling. His Holiness the Dalai Lama came and we had the immense good fortune for him to inaugurate that place. We helped to develop the education infrastructure of a wonderful partner called Lama Peljor up there in Sikkim. Remember? We built the third story to that hostel.
Right.
And then we do several projects. We do projects, various projects, again in collaboration with partners. One example to give is in 2014, we collaborated with Shirik, the Department of Education,
in Dharamsala.
Yeah, in Dharamsala to train 25 teachers. They were all Shirik teachers, and Tcef, we sent the resource person, Sarah Bucklefield. She trained them in the best practice of English acquisitions. Altogether, just for those program areas, I'm not talking about other administration, specifically for our program areas, culture, service, education, so far we have spent about $1.8 million. And if somebody had told me that, we would achieve that 25 years ago, I would be pinching myself. But, because of the help of all these kind folks in Montana, we were able to do it.
Yes.
You have to know that whatever we do is because of the kindness of these people. Because otherwise, as a single Tibetan, here in the open expanse of Montana, you can see that I can't do anything.
Yes.
It's directly because of
know.
that. We know, right?
Yeah.
How vulnerable we are as a
Yes.
species.
Definitely. So now near in future, now you have done so many good things and you have achieved a lot of maybe members or the helpers or supporters. But somehow now this is 2020. So because of this COVID-19 we can't do so much.
Right.
But not near in future, like if somebody wants to contact you or somebody wants to know more about this education foundation, so how you can tell that the
The best source is a website. It's a website. So for anyone watching this program, it's very simple. It's tibetchild.org. It's tibetchild.org, and all the information, our programs, what we have achieved so far, our hopes for the future, is all on the web. And anybody is welcome to contact me personally as the executive director. My email is super simple. It's my first name, Karma, together with the name of the foundation, TCEF. So it's karmatcef@gmail.com. So, that way anybody can contact me. And in fact, I want to make this one more pitch, which Auntie Vijay said, sort of latch on to this idea. And if anyone, especially like a Tibetan audience is watching this, I want to invite more of their participation. We do have a few Tibetan sponsoring elders and children. I would love to have so much more. Right now, our foundation is supported by a base of about 200 sponsors. I would love, a whole lot more Tibetans involved in our work.
So, is there any Tibetans who support?
Oh, yes. Yeah, there are just a few, unfortunately, not enough. There are few Tibetans who have been supporting our work for many years. In particular, in the Boston area, there is one Acha Tsiddomala Shakya, who has been sponsoring a student. That student graduated, then she sponsored a child in college, and that child is going to graduate nursing school this year. So we have our own inspirational stories also.